Okay.
You're part of the Life Scene Investigation class, and we're helping you discover more not only about yourself, but how to use and how to teach this program in schools. Here's the workbook that you should have, and I'd like you to go in your workbook and go to page 11. Page 11 talks about 10 evidence discovery questions that you're going to be wanting to ask continually. You might be able to take one of these questions and for an entire week or for 2 or 3 days, just focus, ask the question, ask it 10, 20 times a day. Ask kids at the beginning of a class, if you teach something beyond where this class is taught, whether it's English or math or, it could be teaching gym, just ask these questions and ask them randomly. But keep focused on what these questions are. They're extremely powerful. They are forensic questions. You might think that they are just simple questions, and they are. They're common sense. But they will help you discover who you are, but they will also help you help your teenagers and help your, the kids in your class, your students, discover who they are as well. I want them to be woven into everything that you do. You could ask a kid at the end of an assignment, you could simply ask one of these questions. Why did you do well? And ask them to look at discovery question number 5 or discovery question number 8 and say, tell me, what do your friends tell me about why you did well in this class? What do your friends know about you? So what we're going to do is we're going to work through these 10 questions, and we're going to go through them somewhat quickly. And again, if you haven't got the book, the DNA Code, in which we outline these and we give you a lot more examples. You can pick it up on Amazon, you can pick it up anywhere. I think many of you in the schools that we're training will have been given the book as well, including the other book, the Strength Finder or the Strengths Leadership book by Gallup. But again, it simply helps you give more information and helps you teach this class a little bit better. So, 10 evidence discovery questions. Remember, we're talking about positive forensics. We're looking for evidence of talent, evidence of what's right. So, first discovery question is simply this. What are you exceptional at? What have you done in history, in life, in reality, that is exceptional? Exceptionality means that you're better than 50% of your class. It's more than that. You're better than 75% of the people in your class. That is, what do you consistently get good grades in? What do you get A's in? What do you, in terms of ranking in your class, if you do that with your peers and people around you that you're in the top 20 or 10% of, or you get awards for, something that again defines I'm exceptional at. And again, remember we looked at last time, we looked at 5 fields of evidence. And that is intellectually and socially and physically. You're asking, what are you exceptional at? So you can ask this in a social skills class. You can ask this in gym, what are you great at physically? You can ask this in a drama class, what are you good at physically? You can ask this in a math or a logical or critical thinking class, what are you good at intellectually? So we keep asking these questions in every realm and every facet of life. Discovery question number 1 is, very simply, what are you exceptional at? Discovery question number 2 is, from my perspective, the most powerful question, forensic discovery question, when you're trying to determine if you have a talent or not, or help you discover what a talent is. It's the concept of being in the zone. If you watch sports at all, you will have heard this concept, they were just in the zone. Do you know that being in the zone, people can be in the zone in your math class? They can be in the zone when throwing a football. They can be in the zone when they're with 3 other people around the lunch table, talking about important things, when one of the people around the table is helping somebody else deal with a very tough problem. Being in the zone and being in flow has these characteristics. We've all experienced them at different times in our lives, and I want you, if you're teaching this, to identify so you can share with your class when you're in flow, when you're in the zone. It has these characteristics. You felt particularly strong and alert. You felt alive. You felt focused. You knew what was going on around you. You felt in effortless control. You weren't struggling to communicate. You weren't struggling to throw the ball. You weren't struggling to remember lines. You weren't struggling to remember formulas. It just flowed. You were in effortless control. Number 3, You had a sense that you were performing at the peak of your ability. You just knew that you were fitting in where you fit well in life, and it fit well exceptionally in life. It just made sense to you. You were in the right position doing what you do well. Number 4, a sense of time and emotional problems seemed to disappear. Think about in your own life when time just flew. It just seemed like, it was 10 minutes, and really in reality it was an hour or 2 or 3. For some people it's reading a book. For some people it is acting on a stage. For some people it's working out in the summer sun for 2 or 3 hours, and a lot of people around you are thinking, all they can think about is water and going home or jumping in the pool, but you love what you're doing and you don't even know that 3 hours went by. It just seemed like practice has started. It could be working on math equations. It could be writing an essay. And 2 or 3 hours go by and you felt like you just sat down and you stood up. So that's what flow is. It's also a sense that you're living what you were meant to live. We're going to talk about this concept of flow a lot more when we get to emotional capacity, because it holds so much more in it. But ask kids, when have you experienced these things? What we know about flow as well is this. It also helps us identify what we're not good at and what we're not hardwired to do. Have you ever thought why some students are just anxious all the time when they come into your classroom? One of the realities is there's some things that we're never going to be exceptional at. And so when we have a high challenge but we have a low skill level, and we really will never develop that skill level to anything more than average, we're always going to feel anxious. And then there are some kids in your classrooms that are bored. They have a high skill level but they're not challenged. And when you've got 25, 30 kids in a class, those kids who have that high level of capacity but you can't challenge them much more simply because you've got 28, 30 other students to teach, they're going to be bored and they're going to be throwing things around and they're going to be sometimes causing problems. But it's a way again to identify what's right. Where do you experience flow? And we'll talk about the concept of anxiety and boredom later on. Number 3, it's impact. Forensics is all about impact. If you watch any forensic show, impact is a vital part of it. It can be looking outside of a bedroom window and you see an imprint of a shoe outside that tells you it was someone who was, had size 12 or 13 feet, normally a male, a certain type of shoe wear or footwear. It can tell you as well, very often, how heavy that person was, how tall that person was. That's impact. When a car hits somebody, it leaves impact. Impact simply means this. If you have a talent and you use it, it's going to impact someone's life. People are going to be changed. The teacher's going to look at a student and say, man, I've had very few students who have ever come up with the answer that quickly. Impact simply means power and focus. And if you don't have a talent, you don't have the strength and power behind that talent or that ability. So what have you done that's really impacted? Things that have lost, things that you've done that really made a difference in someone's life. Number 4. Discovery question number 4. What have you done that you have done easily and repeated often? It's really the question of what's natural. What is your signature? What defines you with ease? I remember when I was about 5 years old, I picked up a golf club. My dad was at the country club and I was able to hit that ball and hit it far. I've always been able to do it. I've always had great hand-eye coordination. It's easy for me. I love photography. It's easy for me. And I take great pictures. So it's really asking the question, what's natural? What do you love doing? What is something you've done over and over again and you do better than the majority of the people you hang around with? That's what natural, that's what easy repeated means. Discovery question number 5 is all about your peers. It's about witnesses. Forensics is about who saw you. Remember, you leave evidence everywhere, whether seen or not, but it really is asking the question, asking the teenagers and the students in your class, what do your friends tell or say about you that say that you're good? What do they say you're really exceptional at? When do your friends say, man, I wish I could do it as well as you do it? Why is it so easy for you to do that? That's peer witnesses. And we will look at that in the next section when we look about witnesses and where to find them and how to assess them and how to assess witnesses that say bad things as well and say things about us that might not be true. And there are ways to deal with bullies and people who seek to hurt us emotionally with words and other things like that. So what do your friends say? Remember, friends see us close up. They see us when a lot of other people don't. Family do as well. So you can ask your students, what do your parents say that you're really good at? Number 5 and number 6, we continue with witnesses. Discovery question number 6 is, what do the experts in your life say that you're exceptional at? Remember that you as a teacher, as a principal, as a counselor, are an expert in your students' lives, as a coach, as someone that they look up to and respect because you've been around longer and you've got maybe awards on your wall and you've got certificates on your wall and you've won a championship or you've won a debate championship or you've got something on your wall that there was an article that says what a great actor you are. You're an expert. What you say matters. Remember this, the words that you use when they identify talent in the lives of your students can change the course of their lives. I've asked this question so often when I've been training and when I've talked to people. Tell me about someone who said something to you, someone you respected, that did change the course of your life. They identified a talent. They said, I've seen you in my math class. I've seen how quickly and how well you understand these concepts. If you continue, you could probably go on and, work at Microsoft or NASA, or you could get a scholarship because you really understand these complex problems. Your words matter. And it matters that you say what you see in the lives of your students as well. Understand who you are as an expert, because what you say has value, it has weight, it can change the course of someone's life. So ask your teenagers, ask your students, who is it that you respect? Someone that, maybe if you're a football player, or a basketball player, or in acting, or in some academic pursuit, who said something about you that really made you come alive and say, you've got it. There's something about you that defines you, says you've got that DNA. Number 7, very simple one. You can simply ask the question, what have you done that when the first time you did it, you were really good at it? You tried it and it worked. Very simple question. Again, it's somewhat close to number 4, but it simply is the first time. I attempted it and it worked. I tried it and I understood it. I read it and it made sense to me. I picked up a ball and I threw it and someone threw a ball at me fast and I caught it. Anything like that. What's natural and easy? Number 8, ask your students, what do you do when no one tells you to do it? That is, what is it when you do it on your own time, by your own choice, when you've got time on your hands, what do you go to? We are drawn to those things that we have a taste for, that we have the DNA that says, I can do well at this. And it can be anything. It could be websites they go to, it could be hanging out at the park, it could be playing basketball, it could be putting on little productions, it could be putting together a band and playing in a band, it could be anything at all. Building a website, writing a script, it could be tutoring, helping somebody else that needs help. So what do you do in your own time when nobody tells you to do it? And I ask you as a teacher as well, what do you do? Because it identifies talent in your life. We're not drawn to things that we are not good at. We're not drawn to things that make us anxious and make us feel stupid. So it tells us what our DNA is when we think about what we're drawn to and go to when nobody tells us. Number 9, discovery question number 9, what produces positive emotion in your life? Simply ask them, think back during this week, think back even during today. What is it that made you happy? What did you specifically do in a group, by yourself? What class produced positive emotion? Again, we understand this about positive psychology, and we understand this about life investigation, that we have a saying which says design determines purpose. That is, knowing what I'm hardwired to do helps me get direction in life. It tells me what I can do well. The second part of the equation says purpose creates passion or positive emotion. When I do the things that I'm hardwired to do, that I do exceptionally well, that I know that I have a mastery over, that I know that I can be in a crowd and demonstrate it, and people look at me and think, man, they're pretty good. What is it about your life as a teacher? What is it about the lives of your students? And ask them, what is it that's produced a positive emotion? What is it that made you come alive? What is it that when you did it, it's over, but now you look forward to doing it again, or you're finding some way, or you're trying to create a way to do it again? And then discovery question number 10. It might not sound like forensics, but it is. It's a huge part of forensics, and it simply talks about intuition. That is about something that's somewhat unseen. It's a gut sense that says, I know if I had the opportunity, I would be good at it. It's really a sense of, belief about myself that's never faded. It could have been part of my life from when I was a child. It is not the, I want to go play in the NBA when I'm a 4 or 5-year-old or 6-year-old that comes and goes, and really, I don't even play in the junior varsity team, but I still think I can play in the NBA. It's really a belief about myself, about something substantive that just never fades. It's kind of a shadow. If you think of a tree and you think of the sun behind it, there's a definition to it, but until I really follow it, until I'm given the opportunity, and think about the students in your class, they're young, they're developing, they're growing, they haven't seen much of the world. But you can ask them, tell me what you think, tell me what you feel, tell me what you believe inside of you, that if you had the opportunity to do it, you would be good at it. Very often you'll watch a forensic show and you'll find a crime scene investigator or a detective who says, maybe the evidence isn't there yet, but I'm going to follow what I think. And very often they'll solve a crime by doing that. It's not often, but it's sometimes. So again, ask yourself the question, go through these 10 discovery questions, and you'll see that at the end of every evidence discovery chapter, you'll have a short little, it's a little grid that takes you through and asks you again intellectually and socially and emotionally. It'll run you through those 10 discovery questions. So thank you again for your attention. Do it yourself. Ask yourself the questions first. Don't expect your students to answer the questions if you haven't done it yourself. It makes us far more richer and real when you've done it and you've got the answers and you can communicate those with illustrations to your students. Thank you.